That's right. The British are coming. Our Clinton area Showboat Theater with us this morning. Mathew, Teague, Miller, and a table full of guests. And Mathew, we'll get to you in a minute. We usually start with you, but what's it? Lara Tenckhoff. Lara, you directed the first show, Gentleman's Guide.
Yes.
Did it meet your expectations? I know you had a vision of what you wanted it to do. How was that?
It exceeded them. I was so pleased with the cast that Maddie's put together. They made my job so easy.
Putting it all together, directing a show like that, how is that? How does it work with all the fast-paced, quick changes? How do you direct a show like that?
Well, luckily we have a great technical team, so you're really well supported. But that was something that we had talked about from the very first meeting, was how to bring this kind of huge musical onto the Showboat stage and make it our own, make it its own version for Clinton.
And now you're in Blithe Spirit, but we'll get back to that show in a minute. But Mathew, Teague, Miller with us. Mathew's second show of the season, and you're directing this show. Tell us a Blithe Spirit.
Blithe Spirit, classic comedy written by Noel Coward, great British playwright and actor. And it's a hoot. I mean, it's super fun. It tells a story about Charles, who is a novelist, and he's looking for inspiration for his next book. So he invites the kooky, eccentric local fortune teller lady. Not really a fortune teller, but over for a dinner party so that he can watch her and learn some tricks of the trade so that he can maybe base a character on her. But they all think she's ridiculous, which she kind of is, until at the dinner party she performs a seance and brings back the spirit of his dead wife, who then proceeds to haunt him and his new wife throughout the rest of the show. It's the kind of show that will have you smiling from beginning to end, giggling throughout, and even have a couple really big laughs along the way.
Now, Mathew, directing a show like this. This was written in the 40s or so.
Yeah,
Do you have to tweak it some for today's audience, to update it, or do you stick pretty much to the script?
Well, we say the words that are on the page. We didn't change anything that Noel Coward had written, but I did. I first read this show 10 or 15 years ago, and I had a slightly different version in my head of what the world of the play was all about, and the vibe and the tone within the play. So I think that concept, that vision, helps build a bridge for the audience into the world of the play that will make it very accessible. It does not feel like a stale piece of theater. It feels very fresh and very new, and I think our audiences will really enjoy it.
What will we see? What's different about it? What's your view that maybe we haven't?
Well, I don't want to spoil too many of the surprises, because some of the things that we did to make it feel relevant are part of the things that we want to surprise the audience with. But it's let's just say that the tone is different. It's dark. It's like a twisted fairy tale. It's that's really all I want to say about it without giving too much of it away. You have to come to see it to see what we've done with it.
Is it hard directing a show like that? Now, obviously, we haven't talked. We talked with Lara. David's here. He's been on the Showboat before. Jami Witt with us. She's also in it.
Yeah.
How is it directing a show with people you've worked with? Can you direct anything at all, or is it like the proverbial herding of cats?
Yeah, I mean, I can direct anything. So
and they're all laughing and shaking their heads no.
This it's a hard play because it's wordy and the style of the play, it's a farce, as Noel Coward described it, and so it's very fast paced. And when you've got a 1 week rehearsal process to get all of these wordy lines in a very high energy, high tempo vibe, it is hard to get that. We dealt the same thing when David and I were in The Odd Couple a couple of years ago, where it's all about pacing, it's all about energy, it's all about drive, but you have such a short rehearsal process to nail down all those details. But I mean, in terms of so getting the words in our mouths and getting the style of the play, I think, is a challenge. But I'm pretty confident that the audiences are going to see that we're pulling it off when they come to see the show tonight.
Who should we talk with? David Coolidge, right?
David.
You've been here before.
Yes.
Tell about how you ended up back here again.
Well, whenever Maddie calls and says, "Hey, I think I've got something for you," I say yes. He is an absolute joy to work with. He's a genius director. We all teach and direct, and I think it's important to be able to put that acting hat back on, and Maddie always does such a superb job of having an extremely clear vision, and we all trust him implicitly, and so it's just an absolute joy to be able to make art with my best friend, and it's a blessing to come back to Clinton because it's such a special place.
Your character, you're the character whose spirit of the dead wife comes back.
That's right.
You have your current wife. Tell us how that works.
Yeah, I am much like in the studio today. I am caught in between my two wives the entire show, and Charles starts off very buttoned up and very put together, ready to start work on this new novel, and just kind of devolves and falls apart by the end of the show. But it's a raucous good time. It's hilarious. And an extremely fresh new look through Maddie's vision.
Have you done the show before?
No, I have not. It was actually one that Maddie's talked about for some time, that he had a very specific vision for, and so to be able to be a part of bringing that to life has been a privilege.
I think I also noticed this week there's another new movie coming out.
Yeah, how about
this.
that?
Yeah.
Does that
crazy
put any
timing.
extra pressure on you to now that you headlines of the movie
No,
coming out?
I think it puts pressure on the movie. I think this is a fantastic production. I mean, I'm very, very confident with what these guys have done, and particularly the design team that took the little seed of inspiration that I gave them with this idea of the world of the play and ran with it and have created an incredibly good-looking. We were looking at some of the production photos this morning over breakfast just before we came in, and the show is gorgeous. It's going to be really great.
Yeah, we audibly gasped when we walked into the theater because it is a spectacular set, and it was shocking the way they were able to transform that space.
And is this the first time you've seen the set? When do you as you mentioned the set? When do you as actors, since you're rehearsing in a different location and not on the Showboat?
Well, they saw a drawing at the first rehearsal. They saw it, well, it was a computer drawing of it. But then it was Tuesday that they came in, and that was the day before yesterday.
Whatever day
It feels
this
like
is.
a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Is that difficult for the actors when you come on? You've rehearsed it, probably you kind of got the stage size all figured out, where the set pieces are, but to actually then get on the stage a couple of days before the actual performance. Jami?
Yeah, this tech process has been particularly larger than life. And the adjustment to not only going to the boat, which is not necessarily a huge adjustment, we rehearse in a similar-ish way that takes that into account, and all of us have worked in that space before. So it is an adjustment, but the adjustment to the magic of the world versus a rehearsal space has been huge. I've been acting for a couple of years, and I won't disclose that information, but
We'll look it up in your bio.
this you can look at my bio and make a couple guesses. But this is going to go down as a very vivid, crisp, clear memory for me of a larger than life tech process, because it has transformed what we were doing. It's like an extra cast member. I mean, it is like bringing the final character into the show. It's just larger than life and magical. And the first time doing it with the tech was surreal. I felt theater butterflies for the first time in a long time, just doing a show with all of that magic.
And it's not just the set. I mean, it's the lights really are transforming the set, taking to another level. The sound design for the show is going to be a portfolio piece for this sound designer in terms of when he starts looking for other jobs at other places, because he's done a tremendous job. And the costumes. Yeah. So it really is a wonderful example of how the collaboration of all of those design elements can help elevate a show to a whole nother place.
And JB, you play the spirit. Tell us how you be a spirit.
Oh, well, She was mischievous in life, and I think that mischievousness maybe just heightens a little. She can get away with even more mischief than she could in her life, because some people can see her and some cannot, which gives her a lot of opportunity to have some fun. So she's been so delightful to play, and I think audiences will enjoy that as well.
How do you determine how to do that?
I think it's been almost more challenging for my castmates, because I just kind of, I did my homework and delved in and found a physical life for her. But some people are acting with a physical actor on stage who they technically, in the world of the play, cannot see. And so adjusting to an invisible human has been, I think, an acting challenge for some of them. I can see everyone, and I get to sort of enjoy that. But they have had to ignore me some.
Yeah, we can't only not see her, we can't hear her either. So yeah, that's definitely been a challenge.
And David, you actually probably see and hear her.
I do. I get to see and hear everything, but I'm usually the only one in the room where that's the case, and so it's been so much fun. Well, my wife helped me run lines as I was leading up to coming into rehearsals, and the process of trying to figure out who I'm talking to and why I'm talking to them and what I'm trying to get from each of them when I'm going back and forth between two ladies who are both speaking but only one can see the other. It was a fun challenge.
David, particularly you said we've seen you in The Odd Couple a couple of years ago.
Yes.
How do you make a different character from The Odd Couple to this, or is it the same person, just different lines?
No, I think it's what Jami kind of alluded to as well. You kind of dive in and do your homework, and we are all acting professors too. I'm the director of musical theater at Anderson University in Anderson, Indiana. So it's good to be back up on stage and putting all of those things into practice that we learned in graduate school. The research and what interests you about a character, and kind of get lost and go down the rabbit hole of what makes this character tick. And the dialogue is so specific and so delightful that it gives the actor a lot to play with.
Now, so when you get done, you go back to teach. Will this influence something you teach next year?
Definitely. Well, I mean, most of my students are off doing summer stock work right now, and so I think it's important to be reminded of what it's like to put a show up in 10 days, and as Maddie said, to be a director, and Lara said as well, and Jami's one too. We're used to, moving the pieces around on stage, coming up with the concept, and then to have it back on in your skin. It's just a good reminder of how hard actors work, and hopefully I will be a more sympathetic director as I go back to my students.
Lara, what about you? Obviously, we talked about directing the first show. You've been on this Showboat stage at least in one other production.
Sure, I've been in several productions
Have you?
here at the Showboat.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't in anything last year. I was pretty busy directing and running the education program last year. So it's exciting to be back on the stage, and this is definitely the biggest role I've taken on at the Showboat. So that was a big fun challenge.
Like your way says, we mentioned you can't see the Blithe spirit.
No, I cannot.
You mentioned, does that make it hard for you to not pay attention when things are going on around you?
Yeah, that takes a lot of discipline to not look at the person who's talking in the room, because I can't hear them talking. And you want to look at them and react to what they're saying. So that's been a marked challenge, but it's so much fun to allow yourself to be kind of terrorized in the situation, because a lot of the mischief is directed at the living wife. So that's been really fun to just kind of go into that imaginary world of, all right, what if there really was a ghost in this house that I really couldn't see? What would that be like? What a fun, special thing.
Matthew, you want to jump in?
No, I mean, we worked really hard. We've got 4 directors in the room right now, and only one of them is the director of this production. And I think that was a a unique challenge and a fun one too. And like David said, it's funny because this time every year, a Facebook memory pops up for me from when I did The Odd Couple, and I said basically what David just said. It is so important for directors, choreographers, music directors, and especially teachers of acting to walk in the shoes of an actor from time to time and step back up on the stage, because it is a challenging, vulnerable position to be. But luckily, while we've got all of these, I mean, how many directors does it take to change a light bulb? None of the directors are changing the light bulb. They're just asking someone else to do it. I just made that joke up. It was pretty good. But you know, there was enough trust in the process that even when people would start to be like, well, shouldn't it be this way, I think that I have earned the trust of all of these people, so that when I said, no, just cross stage right, they just crossed stage right, and then they figured it out, you know, why later.
And that's kind of was one of the questions I was going to ask you. You've all directed shows.
Yeah.
Can you take direction? Or
hope
do
so,
they
Maddie. What do you
talk
think?
back a little bit?
I mean, I think because of the unique vision of the show, I definitely think that there were moments where I would ask for something and people would be like, okay, but we got there. And again, there's not just a trust because of my experience, but there's a trust because everyone in this room has been directed by me before.
That's right.
I've directed all three of these actors in the past. And so, you know, whereas a traditional rehearsal process, you have time to earn the cast's trust, you don't in summer stock, because there's only 11 days of rehearsal. You know, luckily we had that shared history when we got into it, and I think the final product is one that we can be really, really proud of, and that audiences are just going to absolutely enjoy. I mean, this is the type of play where there are jokes, and then there are jokes within the jokes, and then there are layered jokes within just the dialogue. I mean, it's just so silly and so fun that people are just going to love it.
Jami, we talk about, is it difficult taking direction?
No.
Especially from Mathew.
I don't think so, and especially actually the opposite with Mathew. As someone who has seen his work multiple times, I trust his vision. I've never seen him let anyone fail, and so I was able to know that I was not going to fail, and I could take risks. And he was going to steer that ship. He was going to pull me back or push me forward. Same with the technical stuff, you know, not knowing exactly what that was going to be and knowing something big was coming. I probably would have fretted over not having control of such a large element of the show because, as he mentioned, being an actor is so vulnerable. But I've seen him navigate such large productions before that I was able to trust that this production was going to turn out to be the magnificent production that I think it is.
Lara, David, what about you?
No, I agree. As I said, we trust Matty implicitly, and having worked with him for, well, I think Matty and I, what was it, 1997 that we did our first show together or something. So there's a language, there's a trust, there's an understanding there, and you know, sometimes when you get back up on stage as an actor, you're trying to make all the pieces fit together just as your character, trying to justify things. And it's really, that's one of the things that I love about working with Matty, is that it's always fresh, it's always new, it's always different. It stretches you as an actor, it stretches you as an artist, and it's thrilling. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Larry?
Yeah, there was. I knew going into it, I mean, being the associate artistic director, I was able to attend some of the production meetings. So I knew going into it that the concept was going to be big and different. And I think really to echo what Jami and David both just said is that I just never didn't trust that it was going to turn out great. You know, I've assistant directed Maddie on many productions. And so I've sat next to him through a lot of rehearsals, and, you know, the care that's taken for the actors is really real. And so there was never a time where I was like, oh man, this looks stupid. You know, like, I was like, I know Maddie will never let me look stupid. He'll never let me fail. He's going to always take care of us. And so it just allows you as an actor to really jump in and let go and being on stage with 6 other performers, 3 of whom I've been in shows with before and have relationships with, it really allows you as an actor to just dive in and trust and play and have fun. I mean, the show is a lot of fun. We've talked about the comedy a lot, so it was really fun to rehearse.
Too, Alberto, and too, this is, of course, we talked a little bit last time. This is the first summer for the Showboat Theater to be an equity theater.
Yeah.
Is David your equity actor?
David's the
this time?
equity actor in the show. Yeah, and we of course have a guy coming straight from New York and with the Broadway production of Book of Mormon to play Joseph and Joseph the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. That's the kind of thing that people can get used to. They're going to see more and more and more throughout the season.
What about the rest of the season? Maybe with this show, do you take a break after this one, Matthew?
No, God, I'll take a break in January 1st, I think. No, I'm going to be directing Joseph the Amazing Technicolor
you
Dreamcoat.
picked that one up, too.
And I'm directing The Who's Tommy. So I'm going 3 straight, which is going to be a little wild. But this show is one that's been a passion project for me. Like I said, I first read it 10 or 15 years ago, and I've had this kind of twisted vision on what I thought might be able to tell the story in a slightly different way. And then with Joseph, as an actor, I was in Joseph 6 different times. I worked the follow spot for 2 different productions of it. I've already directed it twice. It's a show that I know, I love. I could sing it backwards if I had to. Maybe not backwards, but I could sing it if I had to. And then Tommy's another passion project. I first saw the Broadway National Tour in the mid-'90s and have been dying to work on it ever since. So I couldn't turn any of those 3 down. So I just decided let's bite the bullet and go and run and sprint really hard for the center part of the section this season.
Maybe I'll talk about this one, and Matthew. We talked a little bit last time too about various audiences, different locations, accept different kinds of shows, different kinds of things.
Yeah.
You had a vision for this show before you were doing it in Clinton.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned various locales and have different levels, different things they accept and don't accept.
Yeah.
Did you have to do anything different for this show? Do you think at all?
No, for this show I did it. I mean, the design team and I have run with it just exactly how I had pictured it. I mean, we tried some things that bold design choices. The first night we were on the stage and we're like, okay, with the 215-seat Showboat Theater, we maybe need to pull that back just a little bit because we're too. Maybe in a 2,000-seat Broadway theater, we could have the makeup could be that extreme, but let's pull it back a little bit, but that's part of the collaboration process. There was nothing in this show or any of the shows this season that we felt like we needed to change or censor or anything like that because of anything of that nature.
Jami, obviously you've been here as long as Matthew has. What do you think of the Clinton audience? Think they'll like this show?
I think this is going to be a really big hit. I think it's different for us as far as we do a lot of musicals. This is it's a play that will please people who are used to fast-moving, high-energy musicals. It never sits back on its heels. You never sit back to breathe and check your watch. You're always leaning forward and maybe even reacting and to something exciting happening around the corner. I think just as you start to want to settle, something else picks you right back up. I think everyone will stay fully engaged. He directed it a lot like a musical. So it moves and it has its own musicality. And I think audiences are going to really respond to this one. I think this is a great fit for the Clinton community.
David, you've been here. You've been in a show. You directed a show. The Clinton audience to you is what?
Yeah, well, I think the Showboat is such a special place, We always look forward. My wife was here a couple of years ago, and Mary Beth Coolidge and The Music Man, and it's just such a pleasure to come back and to see a community like this where theater is so vibrant and alive and a part of the very fabric of the community. And there have been massive improvements to the boat, and what a great investment the community has made in that space. And it's just an honor to be able to come here and make fresh, exciting, vibrant theater with your friends, and for a community that I know is they welcome us with open arms and are going to be delighted by this production.
Lara, you've been here for a number of years, been on stage a few times, directed a few times, run the kids program.
Yeah. kind of done it all.
What is it getting up on the stage in front of the audience in Clinton like?
Well, it's a joy. I mean, they're so warm and receptive. The whole community is to us really all season. You know, my kids come and they live here with me during the summertime, and the community here really takes them on as their own in the same way that they take on the whole cast and crew of the Showboat. So getting up on stage, that's neither here nor there. You know, it's really fun and exciting, and it's exciting to get to talk to the audience members afterwards, but it's the same as when you're directing a show, or if you're working in the box office, or working on the tech team. You're really received as a member of the community, and there's a real familial feel to it around here, so just really lucky.
Matthew, wrap things up for us. What about the show? What is coming next?
Well, this is, maybe people don't know the title Blithe Spirit. Maybe they're like, I don't know if I want to see something that doesn't have a big dance number at the end of the first act. Trust me on this one. Clinton, you will love the show. Buy your tickets. Don't miss it. And I will tell you very honestly that looking forward, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, the box office is already at a record pace in terms of selling that show. So if people want to see Joseph, it's not one you want to wait to get tickets for. You want to go onto the ClintonShowboat.org website right now and buy your tickets to that show, because even though we've already added a weekend of performances and special Saturday matinees, it will fill. And if you wait, you won't get tickets.
I know you're directing 3 shows in a row, but how's the work on next season going?
It's well underway. We were talking about it in the lobby of your place just before we came in here. We'll announce it at the season announcement follies. Buy your tickets now.
Unless we get it earlier.
You haven't been able to crack me yet. We'll see.
We'd like to thank Mathew Teague Miller, Jami Witt, David Coolidge, Lara Tenckhoff for coming in today. Thanks.